Champions League nights under the lights at the bridge with fans inside the stadium. I will never take this glorious sight for granted again. It's the final game of Group E, Chelsea versus Krasnodar. Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. No sign of rotation in this squad, definitely. Pat Nevin, Savage Dan, Abby McCarthy and Ben Andrews at Stamford Bridge for us tonight. Let's get straight into it then, Abby, because tonight it's going to be a special one. You know, qualification sealed, top of the group sealed. So it's a chance, for, I suppose, for everyone to enjoy the night, as it were, as long as we get the result on the pitch. But fans back inside the stadium, it's going to be a good one this evening.
Yeah, I think so. It's a chance for fans to just enjoy it, for our team to have fun, hopefully to see some players that we haven't seen play in a while. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good night tonight.
Pat, it's obviously a lot of games over the next couple of weeks. We do anticipate, we'll find out very, very shortly from Ben, the team news, but we do anticipate maybe a couple of changes. But I suppose tonight, we said this in Champions League nights in the past, and last week, Olivier Giroud took his chance very, very well. But it is exactly that. It's a chance for players tonight to take the opportunity and hopefully get themselves in match fitness and match form as well for a tough run of fixtures ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say no player worth his salt. No, I'm going to just say no player thinks he shouldn't be playing. Every player thinks I should be on the pitch just now. So when you get a chance, you've got to go and try and take it. And it's every single player who walks out there tonight will say, right, this Chelsea team looks good. We are on an absolute roll just now. And it's quite painful to be sitting on the sidelines watching it. So if you're not starting most weeks, you want to get on there. You want to take that chance. And it may well be that you could come on and score a goal or, you know, create a couple of goals. And that might only get you on the bench next week. But that's what you got to do, and every single player will be up for it. So, you know, it's a game that people call a dead rubber. It will not be like that for the 11 guys that are wearing blue strips tonight.
Well, let's find out who those 11 guys are. Ben Andrews at Stamford Bridge for us. Ben, how are you, mate? You good?
I am good. Baby, it's cold outside, but don't worry about that. Team news is interesting, though. Never let it be said Frank Lampard doesn't do things properly. 9 changes he made for Sevilla, 8 changes back for Leeds, 10 tonight. So the only player who keeps his place is Kai Havertz, although we think in a further forward role. The team is Kepa in goal, his first appearance since the Southampton 3-3 here. The back four is the same as Sevilla away. So that's Aspie, captain, Andreas Christensen, Tony Rudiger and Emerson. Kovacic, Jorginho and Billy Gilmour, a full Champions League debut for him, having had just a little sniff off the bench at Sevilla. Kai Havertz, Tammy Abraham starting at centre forward, and 19-year-old Timo Werner making his full Chelsea debut, having had just a few moments against Grimsby in the League Cup last term. Timo Werner is starting for Chelsea tonight. How about that?
That's massive, isn't it? Dan, what's your immediate reaction, mate? I suppose the two that stand out, obviously Billy Gilmour and a debut for Timo Werner.
Yeah, I half expected to see Billy Gilmour. I was hoping to see Timo Werner, and we've got them both. I feel like it's a big night for both of them. You know, Billy's coming back from injury. Andrin's showing so much promise playing in the twos, and it's now time to kind of show us what it's like playing in a Champions League match at Stamford Bridge.
I'm going to save the Billy Gilmour chat for Pat Nevin in a second, Ben, because genuinely I love the energy and the smile that it gives Pat when he's talking about him. But you'll have seen Tino a lot more than a lot of us, I suppose, in the PL2 games and in the academy coming through as well. He is, I suppose it's difficult to put it in the correct term, but he's another very, very exciting academy product to come out of Cobham, and he's got some big boots to fill, but he's got all the potential in the world to do exactly that.
He has. The only downside so far with him is his fitness record. There are a load of similarities between him and Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They play very similarly. They're both really physical. They're both great through the middle, coming on, bursting onto the ball, going past people with power as well as skills. And like Ruben, he struggles with niggles here and there. I mean, Ruben's obviously had one really terrible one with the ruptured Achilles in Boston, but you know, he'll be fit for 2 or 3 weeks, then he'll be out for 2 or 3 weeks. The other day, actually, in the PL2, he finally played 90 minutes, and that was the first time in forever that he'd done that. But yeah, tons and tons of talent. Frank saw it a bit here. There was a PL2 game at the start of last season against Liverpool, and Frank was watching because he wanted Batshuayi and Tony Rudiger to have a game, and Tino completely stole the show. And not long after that, he got a go off the bench as one of the 8 debutants that Frank handed out last season. Actually, him and Ian Martson came off the bench for the end of the Grimsby game.
He's another one, isn't he, Pat? That we've got a lot of excitement, a lot of promise about, and someone that I know you hold in very, very high esteem. We saw how good he was last season. Is Billy Gilmour. It's a massive positive to have him back involved, but also it's a big thing for him to be starting a game tonight, because he did come off quite a bad injury, and with the lack of a proper pre-season and how fast it's been for a turnaround. You look at, I think 7th of July was the game against Palace where he got injured. It's a very quick turnaround for the severity of injury that he had.
Yeah, it kind of helps sometimes. It's an odd thing to say, but the small guys seem to do it better. They get over it better. There's a lightness. They're not putting so much stresses on their injuries, and they seem to go over it much, much better. So I'm not massively surprised that Billy's got back. And also, just generally, youth helps you recover quite quickly. But it's an exciting looking team tonight. Billy, he's had a few unlucky things. I mean, he had one difficult game. I think it might have been Leicester away from home. And then he had that injury. And then he came back and played a Scotland game, gets sent off after 8 minutes, which I know that you watched, Joe. And I've just about calmed down my anger now, and that was weeks ago. But if you look at what he's playing alongside tonight, I didn't think I would ever see Jorginho and Billy playing in the same team. And I want to see that, because they're almost like, the way Barca used to play the tiki-taka way. They are good enough to be able to do that sort of thing together. So interesting to see them. But I'm telling you right now, I have no idea what system we're going to play tonight. The way it's looking, I think the best system is, the best system is 4-3-2-1 for that system. And then you get Andrew and going forward and Havertz one side of Tammy. And then you get a real chance to get Billy going through. But you could also play 4-2-3-1. But whatever it is, I want Billy on the ball because he's brilliant.
Completely agree, mate. Yeah, you're 100% right. That red card for Scotland under-21s is genuinely the most laughable red card you will ever see. Horrific. So bad. Right. Don't forget, because it is quite close to closing now, you need to get involved with Play Predictor on the Fifth Stand app. It shuts an hour before kickoff. So we've only got a couple of moments to make sure you get your predictions in. And if you top the chart at the end of the month, you can win a £500 voucher for the Megastore and a signed merchandise bundle as well. Let's have a little look at our predictions for tonight then. I've gone for 2-1. Abby and Dan have both gone for 3-0, and Pat has gone for 3-1. Abby, 3-0 tonight. I mean, that's... Now you've seen the team, are you more confident than you were an hour ago when we spoke about this previously?
Yeah, I think I'm feeling confident. There's going to be people that are going to want to go on and make their mark, and if possible, score a goal. So yeah, I'm confident we'll get a few. And it just feels like the pressure's off a little bit tonight, just because we've already topped the group. I mean, obviously, you always want to win every game, and we're on such an incredible run. But yeah, I think we can go into tonight's game feeling very, very confident.
Dan, is there a little bit as well? I mean, Tammy's obviously got the nod up front tonight, and Kai Havertz as well. Both players that have been involved in the last couple of weeks. And Olivier Giroud, like we mentioned, took his chance very, very well last week against Sevilla. Tammy, maybe looking at that going, okay, I know then if I score goals and play well tonight, I'll get the nod this weekend at Everton. Yeah,
I think as a striker, you just want to score anyway. It doesn't matter what game it is and what minute it is. You want that ball in the back of the net. So I feel like 3-0 will probably... I have a feeling I'm going to get it right today, just because we've got a strong team. I got it right last week as well, but we've got a strong team, one that will be comfortable in possession, lots of goals, and we create a lot of opportunities. I just feel like we're going to be way too much for them. And Tammy, I feel like Tammy will get on the score sheet as well.
He's going to have a few more shirts hung up behind him at the end of the month then if he's tops the leaderboard and Play Predictor the way he's going, Dan. You've had one last week and you get one tonight, mate. You're going to be the guy to beat, definitely. Pat, you've gone 3-1 again. I suppose now you've seen the teams, we always have this chat and it very much changes a lot of the time. Last week you said you wish you'd have gone 4-0, which you would have been right.
Yeah.
After you saw the team, which, again, looking back. So how are you feeling tonight? Are you comfortable with 3-1?
Yeah, I'm okay with that, actually, because Krasnodar are not a team that everybody... It doesn't sort of come off the lips too easily because we've not heard that much about them before. But have a look at the results. I've watched the games that they've played. The only team that haven't scored against in the Champions League is us. So they've scored a couple against Sevilla in one game. They really are quite dangerous. Now, remember against us over there, they had the crossbar. They look quite dangerous on a few occasions. So they're capable of scoring a goal. Are they capable of beating us? Well, I think that's the biggest long shot you'll get this week. I think they're playing so well. There's such confidence about our group. And as I say, every player who comes on wants to make his mark. The thing is, every player who comes on is capable of making his mark. So if I was Krasnodar, I'd be concerned. But I expect an open game. That's how we play, open football. I would love Kepa to get a clean sheet. Nothing would make me happier after all the difficulties that he's been through in the media, etc. But I think it might be just beyond us tonight.
Ben, you think you've skirted around it and you've got away with it. Not quite, mate, because I want to lead hot topic one with you, which is who do we want to avoid in the last 16? So who do we want to avoid in the last 16, mate?
Well, I was only really concerned about Bayern, but given that that's 2 group winners, that can't happen. I don't think it's I honestly don't think it's a concern, because there aren't. I mean, who would want to play Chelsea more to the point right now? I mean, no one would want to play Bayern. Done, agreed. But who would actually fancy Chelsea? I mean, there are things to be sorted out. Obviously, you can't play clubs from your own country. I mean, Leipzig or PSG, if one of them is in there with Man United, both of them are quite good. But I mean, I'd fancy Chelsea against anybody right now, with any side picked. Frankly, it's ridiculous, the strength in depth.
Completely agree with that. And Dan, you know, like Ben's pointed out, you look at some of the teams that, again, there's still so much jostling for position in other groups. It seems that ours is the only one that's kind of nailed on and finished now. A lot of it is going to game 6. Manchester United could be playing Europa League football. They could top the group. Real Madrid could finish bottom of their group or top the group tonight. There's so much jostling for position. So you look at the teams that at the moment look like they'll finish in the runners-up position. Atletico Madrid are probably one of the toughest, because we know how defensively sound they are and how good they are going forward, and the personnel they've got. Porto, Atalanta, Ajax or Lazio, maybe Juventus as well, their second position at the moment. And then, like I said, PSG or Leipzig. There sounds like some big names there, but like Ben's just pointed out, a lot of the people that are watching will be well aware that Chelsea are only one or two teams that are unbeaten in the competition. So we're going to be one of the sides to fear, aren't we?
I think no one wants to play Chelsea. I don't even think Bayern would want to play Chelsea right now. We're a bit of an unknown quantity given our form and the kind of newness of our players and system, and we're a bit fearless, and people don't know how to take teams like that. So I'm sure they'd rather, play a Man United, not to have a dig at them, but I would rather play Man United. I'd rather play anyone that other than Chelsea. But for us, I'm really not scared. I really am not. I'd like to stay away from Bayern, which I think we'll do. And other than that, it doesn't really matter. It's the Champions League. These are the best teams in Europe. I feel like we're going to bump into them at some stage. I think we'll be fine.
Pat, if we win tonight, it will be the most points we've ever taken from a group stage of a Champions League. I know this is a very hypothetical question, and we've kind of all said it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's more and more becoming a serious point. How far can we go this season? Because like we've all just chatted about there, Bayern are probably the team to beat because they're the holders, and we know how good they can be. But Barca haven't looked great in league form. They kind of look like they're teetering on the edge week in, week out. Some weeks they're brilliant, some weeks they're not. Man City, again, the same can be said. In terms of consistency, we've got to be put in that top bracket, haven't we?
I think we look ourselves in the way that Ajax did, a couple of years ago when they had that brilliant run. We are quite a young team. Now, I think we've got enough quality. I think we're good enough to go all the way. However, you need nous with the Champions League. There's things to learn on the way. And sometimes there's a game you should have won or a tie you should have won. But you're playing against some of these old hands who know their way around this competition. And that may be the only thing that kind of stops us, because I agree with what everyone's saying. There's no one I fear. I mean, Bayern I'd rather not meet, but we ain't going to meet them anyway just now. But really, that's the thing. I think very few teams come in early to Champions League and then go and win it. I think, Jose Mourinho did a pretty good job with the Europa League very early on in his days with Porto. It's incredibly hard to do it in Champions League. But can we get past this round? Yes. And then after that, just need a good draw, like any cup competition. I'm just excited about it. No pressure on the players. Enjoy this one. And if we get all the way, we get all the way. But I'm going to say first to say it, but not first to say it. See, when we did win it, we didn't expect to win at that time either, did we? So, So it may well be one of those ones.
Keep going, Pat. Keep going. Keep reeling it up for us, lad. Absolutely right. Ben, thank you for joining us, mate. Top work as usual. Go and get yourself warm and get ready for kickoff. We'll see you and speak to you in a bit. Thank you very much, mate. Right now, though, it's time to hear what the manager had to say as he looks to finish the group stage on a high.
We saw a lovely embrace at full time between Ollie Giroud and Tammy Abraham. How good is their relationship, and what do they learn from each other, I guess?
Their relationship is great, and they should both take credit for that, because everyone wants to play every week. And sometimes when I hear when Tammy's playing Ollie's voice behind me, compliment him on hold-up play or movement. When I hear Tammy jump up when Ollie scores, vice versa, those are things that make a squad. Simple things, and that's personality. And those two in their own ways have got huge personalities in this squad. I was delighted for Ollie the other day to play as he did. Everyone, whenever I choose one or the other, the press always want to ask about the one I didn't choose for that game. I suppose that's normal in my job. But I rely on them both. And when they give, like they're giving this season, Tammy before has been running and scoring and assisting, and Ollie when he comes in brings all these quality scores, 4 goals in the Champions League. I mean, they're the levels we need.
Are there elements of Ollie's game that maybe Tammy can learn from, I guess, as he progresses?
Yeah, for sure. I think Ollie's hold-up play has always been a big part of his game, and he brings people in to play. I think Tammy is improving all the time at that and can do that. And Ollie, obviously, around the box, as we saw against Seville, but in other games, is always seemingly in dangerous areas to score goals, which sounds simple, but you have to be in there. And then he works on his technique daily, and you can see that in him. So if Tammy's looking to learn off Ollie, just look how he trains every day. And Tammy does, to be fair. Tammy's very hungry to improve, so they're very good for each other, I think, for Tammy to look up to Ollie, as he should do, but also for Ollie to see the enthusiasm that Tammy brings and obviously work together.
I remember there were a couple of times over during your first pre-season, I think we were over in Dublin at the time. Aspilicueta took Tammy aside, put his arm around him, was giving him advice. Do you also see him doing that with maybe people in his position, like Fakayo, like Reece James? Yeah,
I do, and I rely on that, because when you manage or coach, you have a lot of responsibilities. The main one is obviously the team, so it's what you do on the training ground. But then there are so many moments and hours and moments around that you rely on experienced players who have been there before to give out some information and experience to the younger lads. And we've got a really good group. That happens. The young lads sometimes give enthusiasm to the older ones, vice versa. But yeah, I'm very happy with the elder players. And as we grow as a squad, I think it's becoming even more evident, and they're even more confident that they can bounce off ideas between each other. And I love that with the players. I don't like to be seen as any form of dictator as a head coach. I actually want the players to learn and improve as they go along, and those communication and conversations are vital.
Finally then, take us back to when you were a young player. I know you had your dad, your uncle as well, but there were any senior players that maybe took you under their wing at the time?
Yeah, I mean, when I came to Chelsea, Gianfranco Zola instantly, he took me under his wing, but he set an example of training and staying out and working on his free kicks and being so invested in his own game at 36, 37, whatever he was. And instantly I looked at that and was like, wow, if he's doing that, I have to do something like that, because he's done everything, and there's the clear reason why. Clearly he's talented, but that work ethic was something that I found very special. So players like him, humility was something I always looked up to. Players that have been there and done it, but off the pitch they're just normal and they're hard working and they strive for more. And Gianfranco was a great example of that.
Such a good sight to see fans flooding back into Stamford Bridge tonight. European night is always special, but it's even better when it's in front of the proper Blues fans. Buzzing for this evening. I tell you what, it brings us nicely actually onto our hot topic 2 for tonight, which is team selection. Now, we've just spoken about the starting lineup and the substitutes that Frank Lampard has selected tonight. Obviously, the majority, I believe, Abby, will be in the comments and in the chat on the fifth stand, buzzing about one specific player. Is that correct?
You read my mind. Everyone is so excited about Billy Gilmour. I mean, someone in the app, Path J, is actually calling him Billy Goatmore. I'm not sure if I'm on board. We'll see. We'll see in the game. But remember him last season when he came out against Liverpool? He absolutely shone, didn't he? So I'm so excited to see him today. Nathaniel also saying Gilmour's got the potential to be a very special player. Kaysen G just said this kid is going places. And he's not wrong, is he? Andrew I agrees as well, just said he's so good on the ball. To get man of the match against Liverpool and Everton, that's no mean feat, is it? Also, James W saying he's a future wizard. I think I agree. A lot of love. I mean, I could go on, but there's a lot of love, a lot of excitement. So yeah, let's really hope he makes his mark tonight.
Absolutely. And Dan, it's a big night for Kai Havertz as well. Frank spoke in the week about, how serious the COVID test was and, how hard that's hit him. We've seen that across the Premier League in some other big name players this week that have been speaking about it and how difficult it is to recover from that. And I think there is a little bit of that. He's still settling in. He's still so young as well. I think games like tonight, when he's still clearly, wants to get more minutes and wants to kind of make an impression on a game. A game like tonight, where he will be seen as one of the more senior players, especially in that front three of Tammy, Andrew, and him. It's a good opportunity for him, and we know that he's got all the quality in the world. And tonight might be the night that he sort of, bursts onto the scene for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know it was tough coming back from after COVID, because he said that his first training session afterwards, it felt like he had been out for 6 weeks, let alone a couple of weeks. So he's a special talent. I feel like today is kind of tailor-made for him. I'm expecting us to have a lot of the ball. I'm expecting him to keep things ticking over and move. And he hasn't moved at the best time. We know the world, the state that the world's in. Usually you want to move to a different country or a different city, and you want to be able to see the city and you want to be able to experience it. So he's still young, but he's got an amazing, head on his shoulders. He seems really, really switched on, just a good kind of down to earth player in person. So I feel like he'll have no real problems adjusting, and hopefully just gets more and more minutes and gets used to playing at Chelsea.
Such a great point to make, mate, about, moving to a new city, and people do kind of forget about that. We kind of take footballers as robots almost, but, anyone that's ever moved house knows how stressful that is. And then to move into a new city when you can't then go and sit in a restaurant that everyone's been talking about, you can't go and do the touristy stuff, you can't go to sort of the local shopping centres and sort of bed yourself in with your local area. You're literally just there playing football, and then for a lot of the month and a lot of the last couple of months confined to your own house. I think it's a really, really good point. Pat, obviously, we've seen a lot of players that I suppose have come in from the cold, and one player that I felt played really well last week against Sevilla and has got the nod again tonight is Emerson. And there was a lot of anyone that follows like Marcus Alonso on Instagram this week will have noticed that he's been training well and obviously enjoying training at the moment. There's a real competition between those two. Ben Chilwell seems to have got the left back position nailed down, but obviously Frank's rewarding him for a good performance last week, and tonight, if he carries that on, he'll have done himself no harm heading into a busy period.
Agreed, but then I'm not sure Emerson's ever let himself down. To be honest, I really rate him. I've always kind of rated him. He's always found it hard to get a real run in the team. But when he's had a few games in a row, maybe particularly attacking, on the ball, typical. He's just great on the ball. He can beat players, always wants to get to the byline. I really, really like him. I rate him very, very highly. Any game against anyone, if we have to play him before Chilwell or Alonso, I would never be concerned. He is good enough. So really happy with that. Can I get back to the point that Dan was making there, which I think is a great point about, players coming to a new city and trying to bed in. I was listening to wee Billy talking about 15 minutes ago, Billy Gilmour, and he was saying that his mum's just left and he's got his own flat. And I don't know if you know about this, so he's cooking for himself now. I remember that. I came here, I was 19. God, I stunk as a cook, and Billy's having to do that now. And it's these little things. They are people. They are normal guys. They have to go and live a normal life and find out about themselves. So that also has to be taken into place. But, the ones that have come here, you need to bed in quickly. Go back to Kai Havertz, you were mentioning before. Hearing Frank talking about him, I'm happy that Frank said what he said. Frank said, oh, yeah, he's fine. Don't worry. He's going to be brilliant. He's right. There's not a worry about Havertz. And if you look at the game he played against Krasnodar in the first, I'm going to say first leg, but the first game against them, he was unbelievable, breaking from deep midfield areas. He was like a horse running against, three-legged dogs. He was so far ahead of everybody else. The guy is an absolute thoroughbred, and he is going to be brilliant for us.
Absolutely spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. And I'll tell you what, we'll be back soon. But right now, let's take a look. Pat's not moving because we're going to listen to the press conference from Billy Gilmour yesterday.
Hi, John. Just start with the injuries. Hakim Ziyech, what's the state of play with him?
He's going for a scan this afternoon, so I'll have more information tomorrow on his hamstring injury. He's out, and Callum Hudson-Odoi's out. He had a hamstring problem in training yesterday too.
I noticed that Jurgen Klopp said you're now title favourites. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone actually really went for it. I think the Liverpool, Manchester City seem to be pretty much everyone's favourite. I think when they perform like they have over the last 3 years and build up the squads they have over 3 years or 4 years, whatever, quite rightly so. even with injuries, when you look at Liverpool's squad and the team they put out last night, and to cover those injuries, they had a big squad. Most teams at the top of the Premier League do. Tottenham are in the equation, so are Manchester United, so are others at this point. It's very tight.
Bit of mind games from Jurgen?
I don't know, but it's, he can have his opinion on whether it is that or not. I don't know, but no, I think he's pretty clear. I think where we're at, we're in good form at the moment, and as I keep saying, we have players that have just come in, some younger players, some players that have came into the Premier League. Some of the teams like Liverpool and City have had a lot of success, of very established players in positions that have been performing at really high levels for a long period of output in the Premier League. So we're trying to get there and reach that, and that takes a lot of consistency over the months ahead.
Let's come to you, Matt.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Matt.
Obviously, you've been juggling the squad around really well lately, and
lost you there, Matt.
Let's come to you, Moose, and we'll come back to Matt.
First of all, Frank, can I just say you're winning games now. You're finding ways to win games. Like the weekend when you came from behind to beat Leeds. Is that the biggest positive for you moving forward into what's going to be a very busy schedule? The fact that your team now knows how to win games, impressive style, and when maybe they need to be a bit, sort of get their hands dirty.
Yeah, I mean, we had a really nice period of clean sheets, and that was a big plus because we knew that had been a slight problem early in the season, but we got some consistency in our play to get clean sheets, and then you understand the Premier League's not going to be that. And against Leeds, we started brilliantly for a few minutes. First action they had, they score. So in retrospect, it was a good test for us. What I was really pleased with the game was that the confidence of the team to keep playing in the ways we spoke about before the game, keep pressing the way we spoke about before the game, and not change the plan. And for me, that's a level of confidence in what we're doing. So we must keep that and build on that. Last year, potentially where we were in both boxes in certain games, some tension would arise from not scoring, and then tension at the back means we were possible to concede. That's something that hopefully we're getting better at, but that has to be continuously worked on, I think.
Well, once again, there'll be fans inside the stadium, and first of all, sense of normality having the bat, but a word on maybe what we've seen at some other grounds up and down the country where there hasn't been respect shown to players taking the knee.
Yeah, I don't want to comment on other clubs' moves other than the fact that when we at Chelsea at the weekend, when players took the knee, which I believe is for diversity, and I think we had that message has to be very clear, and our fans clapped that message and that moment. So that's just Chelsea Football Club.
And last one, very quickly, what are you hoping to get out tomorrow night? Because you've already won the group. What's the real thing you're looking to get out tomorrow night, apart from no injuries?
Yeah, certainly no injuries, and some minutes for people that maybe are not playing as much as they would want in the squad, to show that they deserve to play more, to gain a bit more match fitness. After Seville, I certainly couldn't complain. It was the opposite. It was a fantastic performance from the team and the squad. So I just want to see that carry on. It's not something, I keep saying the same thing, it's not something that you can switch on and off, the idea that we must win and be successful. So that's just what I want to see, the right attitude and how we approach the game. Thanks.
Come to you now, Matt.
Hi, Frank, I'll try again.
Cheers, Matt.
Yeah, it was on the back of you saying about getting some players some minutes and managing the squad. I wondered whether you might break from tradition and tell us. I wondered whether Kepa's got a chance to play and sort of how things are with him at the moment, because obviously he's not played in a long time, and when we were last talking about him in the team, his confidence seemed a little bit low at the time.
Yeah, Kepa starts.
Mm-hmm. And can you just talk about what that will mean for him and what you would like to see from him, and where do you see his frame of mind at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said about the group as a whole, it's about attitude and how we approach the game. Of course, Kepa's position is slightly different because the goalkeepers, they have to be patient when they're not starting games, and generally, obviously, with Edu's form, he's been a very regular pick for me, easily. But of course, I think with this game, I think it's a game for Kepa, who's training brilliantly well, acting brilliantly well, and I think, and I mentioned when I spoke about him a while ago, that these periods will happen in players' careers, and sometimes they make you stronger and better at the other end. So I've got no qualms about putting him back in.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Andy?
Can't hear your hand.
Is that better?
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm going to stick with tradition myself, and I'm going to ask 2 questions in one, as I always do. Just I want to follow on from Matt there and the question about Kepa. You've said a lot about players that aren't playing, supporting the group and everything. I just wondered if you could tell us how he's been with Mendy, particularly. I mean, as it is, it's not like defenders where you might get a chance to play alongside. It's one or the other, isn't it? But also, I wondered if I could ask you a bit about Timo Werner. He hasn't scored for a few weeks now, and I just, it's obviously not a crisis, but for a player like him, I wonder if you think he's maybe trying a bit too hard. He's got the assists I've seen, but he's not getting the goals. How much that affects him, and whether that Germany-Spain game really may have affected him more than you might have thought.
Yeah. Your 2 questions make me forget the first one sometimes. I know it was about Kepa, but remind me the detail. I won't forget the second part. The detail, Kepa, you want to know how... Sorry, how he's been, Kepa, with Edu. Very supportive, and I see that. I see it from afar sometimes with goalkeepers, or they work together with Hilario a lot. But what I do see, and I obviously watch from afar, and we're in hotels a lot, and we have a lot of games at the moment, is someone that's supporting him quietly, as is right. Someone that's training really well, and I think that's the main thing that I look at, because the training, particularly for goalkeepers, because of the one nature of it, how close they all are. There cannot be one goalkeeper that doesn't train at a level. They have to push each other, and I see that with the group, and I'm very pleased with that from Kepa. So his reaction has been spot on, Andy, absolutely spot on. With Timo, again, I've got no worries about Timo. I think he's come into this league, he's made a big impact straight away. His speed, direct nature, things he's creating for the team, the fact that he's getting lots of chances, he makes lots of chances through his explosive nature and his eye to be in right areas. And that I love. I've got no worries about him. Timo's going to be a huge player for this club. He scored some goals already. Of course, he'll want to be scoring more, and he's missed a couple, but keep getting there, he'll score those goals. I don't think that the Spain game has got anything to do with it, Andy. I spoke to him after that game, and it didn't feel like it was a negative thing that he was going to carry himself. There's been a few games since then. We played up at Newcastle in the next game, and he absolutely ripped on about 5 occasions that game with the ball, and was so dangerous even though he didn't get his goal. So I just think it's a small moment, as all strikers have, and I've got no worries.
And just quickly going back to Kepa, are you under? Is there any pressure from the powers that be above, because you've got a £70-odd million goalkeeper doing, not doing nothing but sitting in mothballs, if you like, at the moment? Is there any pressure that he's not like a liability on the club, and they want to try and move him on, get him on loan somewhere, get some money back for him? No,
there's no pressure, Andy, and the pressure is, and I'm not saying that this is being spoken about, is to win games, and I have to do the right thing game by game. And of course, Mendy has made himself a very permanent fixture at this point, because the pressure to win games means I pick people in form, goalkeeper, striker, winger, whoever. But at the same time, with the game tomorrow, it's obviously an opportunity to give Edu a rest and give Kepa a game. As I say, he's training well, he deserves it.
Come to you, James.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Tomorrow, maybe a chance for Billy Gilmour to start or get minutes. I just wonder if, like you've mentioned already about the incredible strength and depth you've got, particularly in midfield, would you consider letting him go on loan somewhere to get more first-team football? Is he someone you want to particularly stay within your group so you can properly bring up the Chelsea way?
Yeah, I think Billy will start tomorrow, and with Billy, he. I don't want to have that thought or conversation until it will be any point where it would take place. Firstly, when a window opens, and it's not open now. I value him a lot in this squad. You say we have a lot of options in midfield that can quickly change, as we've seen with the winger situation at the club. Hakim gets injured at the weekend, Callum gets injured yesterday, and the numbers are not so great. So I'll make those decisions going forward.
Come to you, Tony.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Tony.
I just wanted to get your impression of Kai Havertz actually at the moment, how he's doing, how he's progressing after his after the COVID thing, because with some people it takes them longer to get that out of their system than others. He got an hour on Saturday. How's he doing in terms of his recovery and the way he's fitting in?
he's fitting in really well, Tony. And I think, I want to be clear, I've sort of said it before, but he had really strong symptoms of COVID. He was very, very ill he was ill and struggling for quite a while. And not a lot of the players, or all of the players have had it like that. Some have been symptom free. So we had to factor that in, and that's why it took 2 or so weeks before he starting a game once he returned from COVID. Going into when he fell ill or turned in a positive test, his form I thought was fantastic. We went off the back of playing some really good stuff, playing in the number 8 role, the advanced midfield role. And I was delighted for him because you could see he was enjoying it. And obviously COVID cut that short. Long term, I've got absolutely no worries about Kai. In fact, the opposite. I know he's going to be a huge player for this football club in the Premier League. He has all the attributes, he has all the personality, he has all the attitude, and he's going to be an absolutely top-class player for me in the Premier League and in the world. That's how highly I rate him. And it must be clear that I think people that analyse, I know it's very quick reaction sometimes to how people analyse new signings, straight away, price tags, etc. I think we have to understand that some players come to this country, some of the best players that have graced the Premier League, found it hard for quite a long time to get used to the Premier League. And I think Kai has actually been very good, and COVID has made it difficult for him, but he's going to be a top player for us. He is a top player.
Let's finish with you, Jerry.
Thanks, Tony.
Hi, Frankie.
Hi, Jerry. Hi, good, thanks.
I know last season N'Golo Kanté struggled to get his form of fitness because he'd had that long sort of injury with France and he didn't really get a good pre-season. And obviously he's back to his best now. But is there a little concern about Hakim that he might struggle a little bit this season if he hasn't had a great pre-season, he's had the injuries when he arrived? Are you concerned a little bit about how he might pan out this year?
I actually wasn't, Jerry, because I thought he was looking great, and he came to us quite a while ago now, back end of last season, restart, and trained a lot. And the injury was obviously disappointing, and he missed some weeks, but straight away he showed his intensity to work in the gym and on the training pitch as soon as he was back. And I think when he came in, that's why he hit the ground running. I hope this is a minor injury. We'll find out with the scan today. It doesn't. The feeling he had since the game is that it doesn't feel too bad, which I'm hoping means we can be talking a couple of weeks, but I have to wait for the scan on that one. But I'm not worried too much. I think he's a fit lad. I can manage around that. We can work him in training. But he's already shown he's going to be an important player for us. But yeah, part of my job in sports science and medical is to try and make sure we find a balance to him missing a bit of pre-season, but I'm not completely worried.
Our rainbow laces tied tight. The stadium roars as we run. We honor the sound of every single one.
Good and bad seasons, each its own reason.
To try again, sigh again, cry again, fly again.
A squad with a mission and mutual ambition.
Female and male, dark-skinned and pale.
Straight or gay.
Or the countless shades of grey in between. Intersections, connections.
Sacrifices, resurrections. Each playing our position, making the team. Hope shared with neighbors
and so-called strangers. Learning to sing one's unpronounceable names.
Gathering together, all seasons, all weathers. To celebrate the timeless, ageless, beautiful game.
I'm aware of the rivalry myself from being obviously a Chelsea player for so long, and I know how the fans feel about it, and that's good. That's football rivalry in the Premier League. Two huge clubs having feelings and having a history, but I know that it will be a competitive match because that's how Leeds approach games these days. they can help us by being vocal, by being supportive. Chelsea fans are always like that for us at Stamford Bridge, so I expect it to be something to hopefully get behind us on the day.
Stamford Bridge, please make some noise and welcome your Chelsea!
will be number 17, Mateo.
I loved the game. It was an exciting game. What a game for the fans to come back to. And Leeds are never going to let you have a comfortable, we'll have it and just dominate possession. They don't let you do that. But we created so many good chances against them, and it could have been maybe 4, 5, 6 on a different day.
Group game number 5 in the UEFA Champions League. It's supposed to be twitchy and tense, you know. They are both already into the knockouts with 2 games to play. In for Azpilicueta. Into Giroud, turns and shoots. It's not Giroud, it's Pulisic. Chance for Giroud here. It's in.
Quality.
Give him a start, he'll get you a goal. Olivier Giroud, well carried by Kai Havertz too. And Chelsea lead in southern Spain. Great skill to find Goodell.
A bit of skill, wasn't it? What a ball that is.
Crowded through the middle. Chelsea still trying to play their way through, and they have Giroud. Right foot this time.
Quality.
Oh, what a goal! Beautiful. Ollie at the double, and Chelsea well in charge of the group now. That is gorgeous. Conte's crossing for Giroud. Hat-trick. The match ball is his. The group win is Chelsea's. Is there anyone you have ever seen who does that beyond the near post header better than him? Now, that looked like a penalty. It is. Buried. Chelsea have got 4 and Olivier Giroud has got the lot.
Fabulous, fabulous.
The 3 added minutes are up and the group is up. Chelsea have won it. Olivier Giroud, take a bow, take the match ball home. Sevilla 0, Chelsea 4.
Not long until kick-off as Chelsea host FC Krasnodar at Stamford Bridge for the Russians' first ever visit to southwest London. Let's run you through the team that Frank Lampard has selected for tonight. Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal for Chelsea tonight. Captain is Cesar Azpilicueta, Antonio Rudiger, Andreas Christensen and Emerson make up a back 4. Billy Gilmour returns to the side alongside Jorginho and Mateo Kovacic. Tino Andrin, Tammy Abraham and Kai Havertz up front. On the bench for Chelsea tonight, it's a large one because of European competition, of course. 5 changes potentially. Caballero, Ziga, Alonso, Kanté, Pulisic, Werner, Tomori, Zuma, Giroud, Mount, Chilwell and James. Let's go into our one to watch for tonight then. No surprises. It's Billy Gilmour. His first start for Chelsea since the 7th of July when he got that injury against Crystal Palace. Pat, I suppose when we all think about Billy Gilmour, we do always think back to that statement performance against Liverpool when he came in the Carabao Cup. And I know we've all seen the meme, and I'll be honest, I still replay it a couple of times a day, where he just nutmegs Fabinho and rolls away from him. But that is, I suppose, a real good example of how good he is and how calm and composed he was in stepping into it. He wasn't phased at all. And tonight will be a big chance for him to show exactly what he's capable of.
Yeah, it's amazing many footballers have great games and no one gets carried away. But you see someone who's got a certain type of technical ability and you go, no, that's different, that's special. That's not luck. That doesn't happen. You just are lucky for 90 minutes. No, you can't do that through luck. You do that through real quality, real technical ability. And that's why people are mentioning the type of skills that Iniesta and people like that have. You know, it's a high praise, but pressure as well. But we know he's got that capability. We would love him to be doing it for years, and we expect him to be doing it for years for Chelsea. The difficulty is, as we all know, is trying to get him into the team because there's so many other players that are capable of it just now. I just hope he does get, a good night tonight. I hope it goes well for him. Things work well for him. You know, he links up well with the likes of Jorginho, the likes of Kovacic. When that starts happening, it will get much, much easier for him, and he will be another one. And funny enough, talking to Ben a moment ago, he actually made a great point to me, Ben. He said, we've got lots and lots of cover and lots of positions. But in actual fact, maybe that central midfield position dead in there with Kanté, Kovacic, and Jorginho, you probably need another one there. To be absolutely safe, you need another one there. And I think he is the one that can do that. We know that Mason can go into that. We probably want him a little bit further up forward. So, big one for him tonight. And I would like him to walk off this pitch and think, yeah, I'm there again. I'm one of that gang again. And I can be trusted with him again. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Dan, I remember having conversations with friends of mine when Billy was promoted to the first team, not long after, I think, the January transfer window last year, and Frank made a big point of saying, no, he's in the first team now. He's training with the first team. He's part of the first team squad. I remember a lot of my friends are saying, okay, here we go. It's just another youth player that Chelsea are promoting to sort of give, well done, sort of Frank. When then the first game that Billy plays, I had exactly the same friend that was very, very sceptical and going, okay, where on earth has he been and why are people not talking about him? Because the way that he did step onto the pitch, and I know it's such a difficult comparison to make, but you do look at very technical, very clever, very gifted footballers that are signed at kind of quite diminutive and quite small, like Xavi, like Iniesta, players that are so comfortable on the ball in deep positions. You see that from a young age, and Billy Gilmour has got all those traits. You forget how young he is, and I mean, he only made 9 appearances last season, but the way that you think of him as a first team. You don't think of him as a youth player that's stepping up and trying to make the grade. You think of him as a first teamer because he's put in those performances already. Yeah,
he comes into any team and he just kind of take the game by the scruff of his neck. He's got real quality. They call him the Spanish Iniesta. It's easy to see why. He can pick a pass, he can get around players, he's very smart. He can drive with the ball, he can trick you, the nutmeg on Fabinho. These are just very small bits and little highlights that we're seeing of him, but he actually runs games. We're at the end of last season, he was one of Frank's favourite midfielders. He was kind of the first on the team sheet for a little bit, keeping Jorginho out. So Frank trusts him, knows what he's capable of. And he bosses games more than he's given credit for. Like, he literally runs the show a lot of the time, as a deep line midfielder. So, look, I don't know where his ceiling is. It's way up there, though. He's quality. And as Pat said, there's a difference between players that just have a bit of a purple patch and the ones who actually, no, that's him. That's him game in, game out. And if he's not performing like that, it's an off day.
Absolutely. It's a big opportunity for him tonight. Obviously, this is the second time we faced Krasnodar in Group E. Matchday 6, obviously the final one. We did play them a couple of weeks back. So let's have a little look at what happened when we met Krasnodar for the first time. More of the same tonight.
This is Azpilicueta. Havertz and Werner both waiting for this. Was he caught there? I wonder. Referee points to the spot. We know how good Jorginho is from 12 yards out. Can he put this one away? Oh, he's hit the post. It's ricocheted out. Werner has a go. It's cleared away. Steps away from one. Werner rather. Havertz made a move forward. Here he is. Looking for Hudson-Odoi. This is better. Oh, and it is a goal. Well, if Safanov got lucky with the penalty, he doesn't there. Werner calling for it. Pulisic wants it as well. Here he is. Was that handball? Arms go up. Referee points to the spot. Now then, with Jorginho off, someone else to take responsibility. Werner for 2-0. That's how you take a penalty. That's a really good strike. Pulisic once more. Up against Martinovic. This is Werner. Looks to play it back. Here's twist, turns, finds the corner. A full debut for Hakim Ziyech, and that's a wonderfully worked goal, wonderfully taken goal. Stoppage, and we have restarts and substitutions, of course. So 2 minutes of added on time. We'll get the second. Abraham and his bulldozing best. This is Pulisic on the turn. Krasnodar 0, Chelsea 4.
Anything like that tonight will be very, very welcome. Now, this is a big question. So hear me out. Let me get it out, because this is our hot topic 3 for tonight. Is this the best Chelsea squad ever? Keyword is squad, I think, because straight away you go, oh, well, hang on a minute. We've won the Champions League. We won the FA Cup the same season. We've won the double before. We've won the league at a canter. But squad-wise, is this the best Chelsea squad ever? Abby, what are the comments on the app saying? Have we heard anything on there first? And what do you think as well?
What do I think? I mean, like you say, it's a big claim, but quite possibly just because of the depth of our current squad. And we've got players that all do different things. Obviously, we've got so many, attacking options. We've got creativity in like Ziyech and Pulisic. We've got absolute pace in Werner, and then we've still got Giroud, who is just an absolute clinical finisher. And what I love about this current Chelsea squad is it's such a wonderful mix of, players from the academy, youth players that are becoming stars in their own right. But then you've got, true leaders in people like Thiago Silva and Kanté. You've got people that have got such experience. So I don't think it's a bad shout to say this is one of the best squads ever. The only thing for me is we're not proven winners yet. We haven't got trophies with this squad. I don't doubt that we're not going to, but I think that's where we'll be like, yeah, this Chelsea squad is something else.
I think you make a great point, Abby, about because I think that's how you always judge success, don't you? On silverware, you do.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that this is a genuine question, and Dan, we think about Chelsea squads in the past, and when you think about the best ones, you do think of the team with Drogba, Lampard, Cole, Terry, Cech in it. You think of the ones that won. I suppose the second season under Jose were just completely dominant. When you got the amount of players and the legends that will be steeped in the history of the club forever. But like Abby pointed out, the squad itself, you've got players that have won Champions League, you've got players that have won World Cups, you've got players that have won FA Cups, you've got players that have played in finals, that have played countless times in the Premier League, you've got players that have been at the club since they were 9 and 10 years old now, that are playing at an elite level, and also looking very, very good in an era with a very good Bayern Munich side, who you could argue will go down in history as one of the very best, Liverpool as well, Manchester City. So when you look at that, and you look at all the kind of, I don't know, all the little bits around it that can form that argument and make that argument, we could be looking at it now, I suppose, at the greatest squad ever in its infancy almost.
Yeah, when you asked that question, I thought you'd been spying on me. I had this argument with someone yesterday. The conclusion I came to was the fact that it's potentially the best squad. When I look at the amount of names, and it's just such a deep squad. I can't really remember having such a deep squad. But as Abby said, we haven't won anything with this set of players just yet, which is the only reservation. So I want to say yes, but I know that there are stats and all of that will tell me it's not. But just my gut feeling is that this is or will be our best ever squad. If we manage to keep this group of players together. It's just so much depth, so many quality players, and those times when we were winning everything, we kind of knew what 11 were going to play every match, or at least what 14 were going to be on the pitch. And I feel like it might be a bit deeper now. We actually don't really know who's going to play and what system it's going to be. It's a completely different element to it now. Yeah, potentially for me. It's going to stay potentially for a couple.
I'll rate that because you've got to be a little bit. And Pat, like Dan's saying there is the potential, because when you think of the best Chelsea teams with Terry, Lampard, Cech, Drogba, Cole and that lot, they were all in their sort of late 20s. The players that we're talking about in sort of comparison to those now are all in their early 20s and have still got a huge amount of potential and a huge amount of growing to do. And if in 2 or 3 years' time we have the same collective together, I absolutely 100% am certain that we'll be sat in front of a few more trophies behind us, because this squad has got it all, hasn't it? But I suppose that is the key thing, is it's potential, it's possibly, but it has every opportunity to become the greatest squad that Chelsea have ever had. Oh, sorry, Pat, you're on mute, mate. It is getting noisy at Stamford Bridge. We've had to do that to just make sure that we can hear you.
That was my fault for forgetting to turn it on. I would take Abby's line. I would go with Abby's line. I think I would take the question being, as a team that you can make 10 changes to, 11 changes to, and it looks just about as strong. Yes, is that. I think we watched that against Seville. Have I ever known a team, and I'm not talking Chelsea, I'm talking anyone that can do that. And I'm thinking Premier League history. I'm not really thinking the memory. There's a period, Man City, I think, had a little period where I thought you could maybe change 10, 11, and they might look just about as strong when they were absolutely the strongest there. But apart from that, I can't remember a team that... So in terms of pure squad, you're not the best team. No, it's not that yet. It might become one of the best teams that we've had. But in terms of squad, yes, I would agree with that. Whether that's the club's organisation, a little bit of luck, fantastic manager, putting it together, what is better balanced by miles than any other team that's around just now. Better balanced, easy as a squad than any other team just now. So, it was either genius or we got a wee bit of lucky as well. I'm kind of hoping it was partly the manager. By the way, just before I go now, quite quickly, I nearly got run over when I was walking out the stadium tonight because I was walking out with my mask on and my glasses steamed up, and I walked out in front of a car because my glasses were steamed up, and I jumped out of the way because it's a big fancy car. So thank you very much, Mr. Lampard, for not knocking me down because it was Frank.
Pat, I hate to tell you, mate, but at the moment I'll be saying it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
I know.
He can't do wrong. Pat, of course, we treasure you here, mate. We are very glad that you are here, and I mean, Frank won't be watching because he's a bit busy. So we'll speak about it after. He was going slowly.
He was going slowly.
Pat, you mentioned there about the depth in the squad, and one of the 10 changes tonight is Mateo Kovacic, who I know you've been taking a closer look at. So check this out.
You don't need to tell Chelsea fans how special Mateo Kovacic is because he's a player of the year anyway. But he's getting beyond defences this season, and this is special. That little layback to Tammy to go against Sheffield United. But time and again, he's getting a little bit further forward than he was before. This time, he passes. He probably should have shot, and he knows that himself. He's furious, but he keeps on getting into dangerous areas, and it's only a matter of time before that grimace turns into a smile. Balls and deep. Superb balls he's been playing all season long when he's got a chance. Mason's unlucky not to score against Newcastle here. But this is my favourite thing. Going by 2 or 3 players. Now, he's not lightning quick, but he makes up 40, 50 yards every time. That usually ends up in a shot or else a foul or, sometimes a pass through as well. But once again, gets past 2, 3 players. Now, gets nothing there. But time and again, he's looking dangerous and he's being positive. Look at this pass though. That's genius. Now we remember the little dink here, but the ball through was a cracker. This is him at his very best. Gets away from one chance, then runs across the player, and then takes another player and gets a foul in a dangerous header. He's doing it time and again. But this is my favourite moment this season so far from him. 4 of these players around him, but he waits till Timo's free. No one's catching Timo there. So we remember the pass, we remember the goal, but the assist to the assist in this occasion was very special too.
I mean, he's some player, isn't he? I mean, player of the season last year as well, Mateo Kovacic. And Dan, I think that's something. We know how good he is. We know how good he's been. And he still, for me, doesn't get the credit he deserves.
In a way, I don't mind it because that means he'll stay ours. I think every Chelsea fan understands how important he is, how good he is. He's got a bit of everything. He can pick a pass, he can drive at the ball, he can tackle, he's really got everything. And I always feel like we are, a stronger team with him in that midfield. So he's got everything. The longer people don't realise, the better for me.
Abby, he's one of those players as well, because again, if you look at the stats of Mateo Kovacic, it doesn't jump off the page. He's a player that you need to see with your own eyes, because the critics and the people, I suppose, that don't see him week in, week out like we do, will say on a page, for a player that plays in a position he does in the team he does, he doesn't score enough goals, he doesn't assist enough goals, he probably he doesn't do the Kanté role where he's got 1 million ball recoveries per game, but he's that player that he keeps everything ticking over. He knits things together. He gets the ball from the deeper players and he gives them to the other players that are going to create stuff. He's the pass to the assist, isn't he? He's so important to the way Chelsea play. And like Dan said, I suppose while people don't rate him and while people don't acknowledge how good he is, that's fine by us because we do, and we do appreciate how good he is.
Yeah, we really do. As you say, ticking it over for me is such a good way to put his style of play. Like, he's just so consistent always, isn't he? Good possession, can pick out a pass, really good at driving the ball forward. I'm excited to see him play tonight.
Absolutely, Rob. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, let's very quickly go through the team again once more before kickoff. We're not too far around. Kepa Arrizabalaga starts in goal. Captain is Cesar Azpilicueta, Antonio Rudiger, Andreas Christensen and Emerson, Billy Gilmour, Jorginho, Mateo Kovacic, of course. Tino Andrin making his Chelsea debut as well tonight. Great night for him. Tammy Abraham and Kai Havertz as well. Very strong, very big bench for Chelsea tonight. Caballero, Ziga, Alonso, Kanté, Pulisic, Werner, Tomori, Zuma, Giroud, Mount, Chilwell and James games. Obviously, we can make 5 changes tonight with it being a Champions League game. Very quickly, and finally from you then, Pat, is there a player that you're looking at on the bench perhaps to come on at some point and get minutes this evening?
Do you know, I honestly, we talked about this last week. I'm really scared to make any guesses about this group because it just doesn't matter. I do want Timo Werner to score some goals. Somebody needs to get into big numbers for us this season. Spreading it about a lot, but Tammy and Timo, I want them 2 scoring goals. So I really would like if Timo comes on, scores a few goals. That would make a big difference to me as well, and I would love to see that. By the way, going back to Kovacic, we had a wee chat last week about him. Keep an eye on it this week, right? See when he goes by players and he starts running, this technique he's got. I was telling you about it last week, wasn't I? Afterwards. Yes. He runs in front of players, and I've never seen any other player do this, which is a weird thing to say, right? He runs in front of players, and he waits till he gets pushed by them and uses that as a catapult. Most players just fall down, and sometimes he does get felled, but he uses it because he's not lightning quick. But I've never seen anybody do it. It's unique. So I'm going to keep my eye out and watch it tonight, see if you get a chance to see that, because it's pretty special. It's pretty unusual.
I'll definitely keep an eye out for that, mate. Thank you very much. That is all from us ahead of kickoff. We'll be back at half-time to dissect how the Blues are getting on. Up next, of course, is live commentary of the game. Chelsea take on Krasnodar in the final UEFA Champions League Group E game before the knockout stage kicks off. Your commentary team in a second will be Pat Nevin and Ben Andrews.